Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's been a while since I've done an actual process video where I've shown you the actual construction of something, so I wanted to get back into it. I took a bit of a pause, kind of a mild break, just to kind of re-figure out how I want to do things on this channel, and just to refocus and get a bunch of stuff done. You might notice behind me I've also acquired some new toys. The router table is one obvious one, but I'm sure you'll see others as we go from various sources. I had a great uncle pass away a few months ago, who was a big woodworker, and he was gracious enough to, or rather his family was gracious enough to allow me to inherit some of the tools, because they wanted them to go to someone who would use them. But today we are going to be building my sister, who was already one of my furniture commissions, a big coffee table. And what makes this somewhat interesting, and why she's just not buying it online, is because she wants it to be about 30 inches by 4 feet, because she's got a pretty big space for it. But she wants half of the top, the side that would be closer to her couch, to be able to be one of those lift-up versions, so she can use it as a desk or to eat on a little more effectively. And that, as far as we can tell, does not really exist. You can get ones where half of it lifts, or where the whole thing lifts up and it's just a smaller coffee table, but she wants to have the bigger space, so when she entertains, she has room to sit around and all that. So that's what we're going to do. Now, the legs, which we're going to start with, I'm going to make out of these big chunks of oak that I salvaged out of the back of an old piano. If you need random pieces of hardwood, or just like good sheet goods, pianos aren't a bad way to go. They're pretty easy to get for free. Most people are giving them away because they're annoying to move. And if you're willing to put in a little bit of sweat equity, you can get what you need out of them. So, let's mill these down into some nicely tapered legs. I picked up a slab of sycamore from a local flea market and decided that would be the perfect thing for the top for this table. Here you see me resawing it and milling it into a slightly more convenient shape on the bandsaw. Here I'm using my new biscuit joiner to cut some slots for biscuits to go in. This will help me line everything up when I go to glue all these boards back together into the tabletop. Here you see me cutting the mortises, and that's what the tenons are going to attach into the legs with. You could easily do this on a router table or a router as well. I am not terribly comfortable using plunge router bits just yet, so I decided to stick with the drill press. It wasn't quite as clean a result as I might have liked, but it still did the job 100% okay. One thing I neglected to realize was that when you have these two sort of joining tenons, there's actually clear air from one hole to the other. And you go ahead and insert one of these. Yeah, it's awkward over camera, but essentially it comes to about there, which means it'll block the other tenon from going all the way through. So what I need to do now is just put a slight miter on the inside edges of each of these tenons so that they can fit, which should be quick and easy enough on the chop saw. Now, I'm no expert, but that's starting to look like a table. Could I have used nails? Yes. Would it have been easier? Yes. But would it be quite as fun? Yes. Not bad. The reason I have the space on either side here is so I can mount the lifting hardware for half the table. I'm probably going to do it on these spaces right here just to spread it out a little bit better. And that gives the hardware room to move and it gives me room to install it, which is nice. I could have theoretically made this shelf the entire width of the table, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. Plus, I think, given that this is a pretty long table, having these extra struts in the middle help with support. So I figured if I'm going to put them in anyway, might as well have this underneath. This backing piece you probably saw is actually solid wood. It's got some battens underneath it just to help hold it straight. This was from the back of the same old piano from which I got the oak that is making up the legs. There's this hole in it. I might patch that, I might not. Could be handy to have in case you need to run cords through or something. I'm just tickled pink that this thing is actually going together. It sits flat, more or less. Everything seems to be cooperating, which is just, oh, it's just amazing. You can buy ready-made metal clips used to attach tabletops to tables. I decided against that and just decided to use some little brackets out of oak that I made. These worked perfectly. I did have to go and use a slightly larger pilot hole to get the drywall screws to fit. Drywall screws are not really the best screw for this application, just because they have the thread all the way up to the head of the screw. You'd want a proper wood screw that has a clean shank on it. But they worked okay, and that tabletop is not going anywhere, but it still has room to expand and contract with humidity changes. I also made a coaster set out of some of the sycamore off.